3 true horror street stories. My name is Amber, and I swear I saw pure evil last summer in the quiet town of Crestwood, Oregon. It started as a simple camping trip with my best friends, Tyler and Mia, but none of us had any clue that something inhuman would follow us back. It all began the night we met him, the man with the hideous pale face, hollow black eyes, and a twisted grin that stretched too wide, flashing rows of razor-sharp teeth. We'd driven up to Crestwood Forest, known for its old logging trails and dense woods. Our plan was to relax, roast marshmallows, and tell silly ghost stories. Around midnight, we noticed strange noises coming from deeper in the tree soft at first, like crunching leaves, but soon heavier. Mia laughed it off, thinking it was a deer, but Tyler looked uneasy. Then we saw him. He stood just beyond the firelight, wild orange hair, filthy and tangled, barely moving, but his eyes burned into us like daggers. One skeletal hand lifted slowly, his fingers twitching unnaturally as if beckoning us closer. We froze, unable to speak, until he suddenly vanished into the dark without a sound. Shaken, we packed up and rushed back to town, thinking it was over. But that night at home, as I lay in bed trying to sleep, a faint tapping started at my window. I live on the second floor. Heart racing, I peered out and there he was. His face pressed against the glass, his grin wider now, eyes locked onto mine. I screamed, but in a blink, he was gone again. Over the next week, all 3 of us experienced strange things. Lights flickered, shadows shifted, and we kept seeing glimpses of that same horrible man lurking nearby, always watching. Our nerves were shot, but no one else believed us. It was as if he'd attached himself to us that night, refusing to let go. Now, we're desperate to find a way to stop whatever this is before it gets worse. But something tells me it's only just beginning, because once you've seen his face, he never lets you forget it. It's Amber again. I really wish I could say everything went back to normal after that nightmare summer in Crestwood, but things only got worse, much worse. A few weeks after the forest incident, Tyler, Mia, and I tried to move on with life. We stopped hanging out late, avoided the woods, and did everything we could to forget. But some things don't want to be forgotten. We all lived in different parts of town, but the weirdness followed each of us. Tyler told me he started waking up at exactly 3:13 a.m. every night, heart pounding, convinced someone was in his room. Mia swore she kept hearing whispering right outside her apartment door, low and urgent, but no one was ever there. As for me, I started seeing him everywhere in reflections, in dreams, and sometimes even standing at the edge of crowds when I went out. Always the same terrifying figure, wild orange hair, hollow eyes, that awful grin. We met up at Mia's house one Friday, desperate to figure things out. None of us were sleeping well, and it was starting to mess with our heads. We sat around her dining table, throwing out ideas. Maybe we imagined it all. Maybe it was stress. But deep down, none of us believed that. Then the lights cut out. We sat there frozen. No wind, no storm, nothing that could explain it. The room went dead silent, except for Mia's shaky breath. Tyler pulled out his phone for a flashlight, but before he could turn it on, a sharp knock echoed from the front door. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. We stared at each other, hearts thudding. Mia whispered that no one should be there, not at that hour. The knock came again, louder this time. I don't know why, but Tyler got up and crept to the door. He looked through the peephole, then staggered back, his face white as a sheet. "It's him," he gasped. "He's here." I grabbed his arm, pulling him away from the door. We locked ourselves in Mia's room and huddled there, listening. We could hear footsteps pacing the hallway outside, slow and heavy. Then, without warning, the doorknob rattled. My heart felt like it would explode. Minutes passed like hours, then silence. Finally, Mia whispered that we needed to see if he was gone. Tyler cracked the door just an inch. No one was there, but on the floor lay a single scrap of paper. I picked it up with trembling hands. It was blank, except for one word, scrawled in jagged letters. Soon, that night changed everything. We decided we couldn't just wait around anymore. We had to figure out what this thing was. Mia remembered hearing an old legend about a man who disappeared in Crestwood back in the 1950s. Locals whispered about sightings of a ghostly figure stalking the woods, but no one ever confirmed it. We thought maybe it was connected. The next day, we drove to the Crestwood Public Library to dig into old records. Hours of searching turned up a yellowed newspaper article from 1956. The headline read, "Local magician vanishes without a trace." The photo made my blood run cold. The man in the picture had wild orange hair, pale skin, and dark circles under his eyes. His name was Vincent Hale. According to the article, he performed strange shows that blurred the line between magic and the supernatural. After his last show, he simply disappeared. Locals claimed his spirit haunted the town, seeking revenge. We sat there, stunned. Tyler finally broke the silence. It's him. It has to be. But why us? None of us had an answer. That night, back at home, I was brushing my teeth when the mirror fogged up completely, even though the room wasn't warm. Slowly, letters began to appear in the condensation. Amber. I dropped my toothbrush and stumbled back, staring at my name written across the glass. My skin prickled with cold dread. He wasn't done, not even close. We thought we could outsmart it. We thought we could find a way to break whatever curse we'd stepped into. But Vincent Hale had other plans, and I know one thing for sure now. You don't escape once he's chosen you. I didn't think it could get worse, but it did. A week after the library discovery, we were spiraling. None of us could sleep, barely eating, and every time we stepped outside, we felt watched. Vincent Hale wasn't just haunting us, was circling, closing in. Mia suggested we visit an old friend of her grandmother's, a woman named Lorraine, who lived in a small town near Asheville, North Carolina. Lorraine was known for being different. She understood things no one else did. We drove out one gray afternoon, the sky thick with low clouds. The road twisted through dense forest, making it feel like we were leaving the real world behind. Lorraine's house stood at the end of a long dirt path, tucked between towering oaks. The place looked untouched by time. We hesitated at the porch, but Mia knocked firmly. The door creaked open, and there she was, an older woman with sharp eyes and a calm that seemed out of place. She listened carefully as we told her everything, never interrupting. When we finished, she nodded slowly and told us we were dealing with a tether. Vincent Hale wasn't just a ghost. He was bound to something, an object or place that kept his spirit anchored and powerful. If we could find that tether and destroy it, she said, we might break his hold. It sounded almost too simple, but we were desperate. Lorraine handed us an old brass key and said it might be useful when the time came. We left her house feeling different. Not hopeful exactly, but like we had a direction. That night, Tyler found something odd in his family's Attica, dusty trunk that no one remembered owning. It was locked tight, no keyhole we could see. We brought it to Mia's place and stared at it, unsure what to do. I remembered Lorraine's key and pulled it from my pocket. The second it got close to the trunk, a low humming started. Tyler's eyes widened. He didn't wait. He pressed the key against the wood. The trunk sprang open. Inside were strange item-sold playing cards, cracked mirrors, a top hat worn thin at the brim, but what caught our attention was a faded poster folded neatly at the bottom. It showed Vincent Hale, grinning that awful grin, with the words, "The Final Performance." Mia's hands shook as she pointed out the date. It was the night he disappeared. Suddenly, the room went ice cold. The lights flickered and died. We froze. Then we heard it. Slow footsteps on the stairs. Heavy, deliberate. Tyler grabbed my hand, eyes wide with panic. We backed away from the trunk as a shadow stretched across the wall, growing taller, wider, and then we saw him. Vincent Hale stepped into the doorway, more solid than ever before. His eyes locked onto us, and his mouth curved into that impossible smile. No one moved. We couldn't. He lifted one hand, fingers curling in a beckoning motion. Mia, thinking fast, grabbed the poster and held it up. His eyes twitched, flicking to the paper. For the first time, he hesitated. That was enough. I lunged forward, snatched the poster, and shoved it into the fireplace. Flames roared up instantly, devouring the paper in seconds. Vincent let out a sound, not a scream exactly, but a deep guttural roar that rattled the walls. His form wavered, flickered, and then he vanished. We stood there in stunned silence, hearts racing, staring at the empty doorway. Had we done it? Was it over? For days, everything was quiet. No shadows, no whispers, no cold spots. We started to breathe again, to believe we were free, but deep down, none of us really trusted it. And 2 nights ago, just as I was about to fall asleep, my phone buzzed. A message. No number. 1 word. Miss me? I stared at the screen, my stomach dropping into a hollow pit. Vincent Hale wasn't gone. He was waiting, watching,